Thanks so much for joining. It's 4 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Some more people might hop on, but this will also, of course, per usual, be recorded and sent out later. So if anyone misses it, they'll still be able to watch it. But we're going to get started for now. So welcome to this week's How To Tuesday, your guide to research success. So my name is Accardi. For those of you who don't know me, I am one of the librarians here at Park. I'm the Digital Initiatives and Resources Librarian. And usually the fabulous Camille Cook heads these up, but she asked me to step in today to talk to you a little bit about research guides, because as part of my job, I create a lot of them. So I'm excited to share some info with you guys today. We've got a pretty quick agenda. We're just going to go over what are library guides and where do you find them on the Park website. And then we're going to talk about the different kinds of guides that you have access to. So there's subject-specific guides, there's course-specific guides, and we have a ton of guides on student success and student resources as well. So I'll show you a couple of those. Then we're going to select one guide, the Start Your Research Guide, and I'll kind of walk you through all the different resources that are on that and how you can make use of that in your courses. And then at the end, we'll have time for any questions if there's anything that you are confused about. So we're going to dive into the walkthrough. So we'll start with what are library guides and where do I find them? So if you go to our Library Park homepage, which is library.park.edu, there is actually a whole tab right here on the main page called Guides. So you can click here. A library guide is a collection of resources created by a librarian for a specific purpose. So as I mentioned, we've got subject guides, course guides, and like topic guides. So we've created, for instance, on the subject of biology, we've gone through and created a subject-specific guide where we've curated the best databases to use for your research in your biology courses, all of our journals that are biologically or that are specific to biology. We have links to external resources and like third-party organizations. We'll have tips on how to like conduct searches for your biology research. So all a library guide is the librarians curating just sort of best places to start. So you shouldn't look at a library guide as the end-all be-all of your research, but it's a great jumping off point. If you are just getting started in a topic, or if you have a paper to write or a presentation and you just aren't quite sure where to start with the library guide, because we're going to give you some example searches that you can start out with. We're going to give you some example articles that you can use. So it's a great place to start off and get the ball rolling on your research and learn enough about a topic so then you can dive in and do more research on your own. So the different types of guides we have, like I mentioned, we have some overall subject-specific guides, and then we also have guides specific to individual courses. So on our library guides tab, if you click this button here that says all guides, you can see we have 88 guides. So we've got a lot of them. And we have them on any number of topics, including specific courses. So for example, there is a really popular course here at Park about serial killers and true crime. So because that's such a popular course, we ended up creating an entire library guide based off of it. So here you see serial killers and true crime, and we've assembled some resources specifically for that course. So here you'll see helpful search terms. You've got a link to the how to start your research, how to cite your sources. We've got notorious serial killers in popular culture with links out to the bios of all of those guys. And then we've also assembled a ton of resources that can get you started on your research. So we have books and ebooks about this topic, databases, articles and court cases, websites, videos and podcasts, and primary sources. So that's an example of what it would look like to get started with a course-specific subject guide if you were by chance in this class. I'll also show you one of the more general ones. So for instance, if you go into biology here, there's a couple different classes that you would use this for. Like you could use this for any of your biology classes, and so it's not a course-specific guide, but we've got databases and articles. We've got specific resources for biology students. So we've curated the recommended databases. So if you don't want to use pirate search, if you don't want to search everything at once, but you kind of want to narrow your research question in a little bit and narrow your focus, here are some great databases to start with. We've got a ton that are biology specific, which is really nice. We have an entire list of subject related journals, so you can see all of our biology journals. And then we've also linked to other web resources, so not library-owned materials or resources necessarily, but stuff that you can just freely access on the internet, which of course you can always do your own internet research as well. You shouldn't use a library guide and not use anything else. But like I mentioned, this is a good jumping off point. And for these subject specific guides, we even have these term lists. We've curated some helpful definitions for you. So we've done our best to kind of give an overview of that topic. So as you're starting your research in any of your biology classes, it may be helpful. The other type of guide that I wanted to show you is if you go to the by subject and you click on this one, resources for students, you'll see we've got 17 guides here that we've identified as helpful resources for students. So, and you can see some of the topics here. So we have a whole guide about how to use our Academic Success Center. We have a guide about our career services. We have guides about citation and plagiarism, college success skills, financial wellness. So these are less academic and more just useful tools for you as you are trying to succeed in your classes and succeed here at Park. So for example, we can find this one, tools for academic writing. So you could, in almost any of your classes, you're going to need to do some form of academic writing. So you can reference this library guide. It'll show you how to do a literature review. It'll show you how to write an annotated bibliography. It'll talk about giving peer feedback. We've got a citation and plagiarism guide that has information on MLA format, APA format, Chicago style format. So again, we tried to make these resources for students sort of broad. So no matter what your major is or what class you're in or what discipline you're in, these resources will be able to help you be successful. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of the types of guides and how you can find them. Again, just to show you one more time, it's library.park.edu, which is the Park Library homepage. You just go to guides, and then you can browse. You can see all 88 guides. You can browse by subject. You can browse by type. So you'll see course guide, subject guide, topic guide here. The last thing I wanted to show you before we get to any questions is I wanted to do a quick walkthrough through one of our most popular library guides. In fact, this is by far our most accessed library guide. And this is the Start Your Research Guide. And it's actually linked right here on the homepage for easy access. So right here, you can click Start Your Research. And this is, again, more of a broader overview guide. So you can use this for any of your classes, for any sort of introductory level research you're doing. This is a really helpful resource to get you started on your research. So instead of just, getting a paper assignment and not being sure where to start, or not being sure what search terms to use, or not being sure if you should search pirate search or a specific database, or if you have any of those kinds of questions, you can always come ask a librarian, but you can also consult this library guide because we've curated a bunch of helpful information. So here, for example, you'll see links to pirate search. You'll see links to browse our entire A to Z database list. So you can see all of our databases, and it'll also filter for like best bets by different subjects. Help with research projects, as well as searching our Park catalog, so our print holdings. We do have a small print collection, or our Mobius shared catalog. So that's accessible via interlibrary loan, and we can get print or digital copies of books and articles for you from all over the world, even if we don't have access to it automatically here at Park. So we also have information on finding different resources. So we have information on how to focus your topic and how to identify an appropriate research question. Because as you may know at this point, an appropriate research question, it has to have the right scope, and it has to have the right relevance, right? So how do you find the right research question? How do you refine your research question? How do you make sure it's specific enough and you can find enough resources on that topic? Well, we walk you through that here. So we've linked to a lot of videos. We have text explanations, we have infographics. We have some where we have little activities or handouts that you can fill out. And then we also have information specific on finding articles and finding books. So for example, if you need to find scholarly articles, you can use pirate search, and then we show you how to limit your results in pirate search to just scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And we've included screenshots and everything to kind of walk you through it step by step. We also have information in this guide about creating a search strategy. So some of you might have had Camille come into your classes and do an instruction session where you created concept maps to help you narrow in your research question. So here we have more information about concept maps. We have a blank fillable concept map so you can fill it out on your own. We have information about Boolean search operators, so using terms like and, or not to really focus in your results and narrow it down to just the most relevant results. Then we've got information on how to evaluate information. So, okay, you've come up with a bunch of different results. How do you sort the wheat from the chaff? How do you find which are the best ones? How do you make sure that the information you're accessing is relevant and accurate and peer-reviewed and all of that good stuff? So we have information about the different types of sources that you might find and kind of watch outs or considerations as you're evaluating it and thinking critically about the research that you're doing. Here we have an activity where you can engage with sources. So if you want to do any of these activities and then come see make an appointment with the librarian and walk through the activity, we'd be more than happy to do that with you as well. And then also on this library guide, we link to some tools for academic writing, which I talked about before, as well as this Get Help tab. I definitely want to highlight this. So here, and you'll find this tab on a lot of our library guides, because we also just really encourage you to come to librarians for help with your research at any time. That's what we're here for. So we have a live 24/7 chat feature. You can also book appointments with any of us, either via Zoom or in person. And then we've also got our phone and email information here as well. So if as you're going through this, start your research guide, if you have a question or something's not exactly clear, definitely get in touch with us and we'd love to help you. But this might be a good springboard for you. And then the final thing on this library guide to show you is we've also curated all of our tutorials, videos, and how-tos in a separate library guide. So this is a great place to start. If you've got any questions about how to use library resources, odds are you'll be able to find the answer in this guide here, because we've got a ton of our video tutorials. Oh, hey, look, we have recordings of all of our previous How To Tuesday workshops. So we'll include this one here too when it's done. And interactive tutorials, resources for citing and plagiarism, and all that good stuff. So I hope that was a helpful overview. I am going to stop sharing my screen so I can look at the chat. Oh, Nikisha says that would have been so helpful when I took that course. Sorry, Nikisha. I made it in March or April or something. I don't know when you took the course. But does anybody have any questions about library guides or about anything that we went over today? You're welcome to either unmute or put it in the chat. And while you're thinking, I'll also just say, if any faculty are listening to this or tuning in, the librarians are more than happy to make course-specific library guides for your course if we don't have one already. And if you'd like one, definitely reach out to us and we'll work with you and curate the best resources and find ones. We've found that it's really helpful for students, and it really helps them kind of get started on their research and make the whole research process just a little bit less intimidating. So I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. If you guys think of any questions, feel free to message me at any time. I will go ahead and share my screen one more time, so that way I can share my contact info. So this is me, here's my email, here's my phone, and here's the link where you can schedule the appointment with me. So I will we'll send out these slides in this recording so you'll have access to it later, but definitely don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much and happy Halloween. Eat lots of candy tonight.